Wondering if another stimulus check is on the way? Or what all the buzz around President Trump's big, beautiful bill really means for your wallet? You're not alone. While this sweeping economic proposal doesn't include new stimulus payments, it does offer major changes that could impact your taxes, benefits, and monthly finances. From eliminating federal taxes on tips and overtime to significant shifts in Medicaid and food assistance programs, the bill aims to reshape the economic landscape. Here's what you need to know and how it might affect your money. Understanding President Trump's new economic bill, what it means for you. If you've been scanning the headlines lately, you might have come across a lot of buzz about President Trump's latest economic bill, often called the Big Beautiful Bill. Many people are wondering if this means another round of stimulus checks or what changes this bill might bring to your finances. While it doesn't include new stimulus checks, this bill proposes major changes to taxes, benefits, and federal programs that could impact your wallet in big ways. In this article, we'll break down what this bill means for everyday Americans, from tax savings to potential cuts in benefits, and why it matters whether you work hourly, are retired, or rely on government assistance. Let's dive in. No new stimulus checks. But what about your taxes? First off, despite all the excitement online, there are currently no new stimulus checks included in this bill. Rumors about a $5,000 Doge dividend or similar payments have been floating around, but as of now, there's no official bill authorizing such payments, no funding plan, and no timeline from Congress or the IRS. That said, there are some notable tax changes that could affect your take-home pay. Elimination of federal taxes on tips and overtime. One of the headline-grabbing parts of this bill is the removal of federal income taxes on tips and overtime, pay for workers in hourly and service industry jobs. For millions of Americans relying on tips, like servers, bartenders, delivery drivers, and those earning overtime, this could mean keeping more of what they earn. The administration estimates tax savings between $1,600 and $1,750 per year for eligible workers. This amount could cover groceries for a month or two or provide some much-needed breathing room if you've been financially stretched. Bigger standard deduction, boost for seniors. For retirees or semi-retired folks who still file taxes, the bill increases the standard deduction, potentially adding $1,600 to $2,000 in savings depending on your situation. This change aims to ease the financial pressure on people living on fixed incomes. Who benefits? Workers in the service industry or hourly jobs stand to gain real tax relief. Seniors filing taxes could save more with the bigger deduction. Not everyone will see the same benefits, but for those groups, the bill could bring noticeable relief. The bigger picture. How does the government pay for these cuts? For every tax cut or savings introduced, the government has to find a way to cover the lost revenue. This bill attempts to balance the budget impact through some significant proposals, especially affecting federal programs and social safety nets. Opportunity Zones 2.0. Investing in America's forgotten places? Another major part of the bill focuses on opportunity zones, which were first introduced in 2017 to encourage investment in low-income communities. What are opportunity zones? These are designated areas where investors can receive tax incentives for putting money into projects like housing, infrastructure, or businesses. The goal? Boost economic growth and job creation in neglected communities. What's new? The updated version, Opportunity Zones 2.0, tightens rules to ensure investments go to rural communities and places with deep poverty rather than gentrifying neighborhoods. Investors are also incentivized to keep their investments in these areas longer term. In theory, this could bring new jobs infrastructure, and economic growth to places that have been left behind. The catch: delay and gaps. The new rules don't kick in until 2027. If old zones aren't redesignated, some areas could see an investment slowdown before any benefits arrive. So if you live in a small town or previously designated opportunity zone, keep an eye on what happens next. Proposed cuts to Medicaid and SNAP. What's at stake? To offset the cost of the bill, estimated between $2.1 trillion and $5 trillion over 10 years, there are proposed major cuts to federal assistance programs, especially Medicaid and SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, aka food stamps. What changes are proposed? Work requirements for able-bodied adults receiving benefits, stricter eligibility checks and tighter restrictions, reduced funding that could impact hospitals and healthcare access, particularly in rural areas. The debate. Supporters argue cuts are necessary to prevent fraud and ensure the safety net goes only to those truly in need. Critics warn that these changes could take healthcare away from millions, especially in underserved rural areas. Lead to hospital closures in some states. Increase costs for families who rely on Medicaid and food assistance. This part of the bill is controversial and could drastically reshape healthcare and food support for vulnerable Americans. Stimulus checks. Why the rumors don't add up. There's been lots of talk about a possible new stimulus payment, fueled by ideas like the so-called Doge dividend and savings from a proposed Department of Government Efficiency. However, no official legislation exists authorizing new stimulus payments. The IRS has made no announcements. The deadline to claim previous stimulus checks, like the $1,400 payment from earlier relief bills, has already passed. Bottom line: if you're hoping for another round of stimulus checks, keep your expectations low until there is clear government confirmation. How will this affect the economy? The administration claims this bill will boost the economy by 4 to 5% over 4 years. The reasoning: more money in your pocket leads to more spending, which creates jobs and growth. Skepticism from economists. Some economists believe these projections may be overly optimistic. A model from the Wharton School suggests the bill's impact could be closer to 0.5% growth over 10 years, and that's assuming other trade restrictions like tariffs are rolled back. Concerns include high spending combined with tax cuts might worsen the national debt. Protectionist trade policies could hurt growth. Wall Street is already nervous, which can affect interest rates, stock prices, and retirement accounts. What it means for you. Short-term tax savings might be offset by rising healthcare costs if Medicaid funding drops. Increased local taxes if hospitals or services close. The overall economic benefit might be smaller than advertised. The political landscape. Will the bill pass as is? The bill barely passed the House of Representatives, and the Senate could change or reject it. Some senators demand major revisions or removal of controversial parts. It may take weeks or months before a final version is agreed upon. What eventually becomes law could look very different from the current proposal. What should you do? Given the complexity and uncertainty, here are some practical steps. If you work hourly or in service jobs, follow the bill's progress closely. You could see tax savings that directly boost your paycheck. Prepare your budget to take advantage of any extra income. If you are retired or on fixed income, the larger standard deduction could save you money on taxes. Consult a tax advisor to understand how the changes might affect your filing. If you rely on Medicaid or SNAP, stay informed about eligibility changes. Speak with a benefits counselor or advisor. Plan for possible disruptions in coverage or benefits. For everyone, watch how local investments and opportunity zones evolve if you live in a rural or economically distressed area. Keep an eye on healthcare access in your community. Stay engaged politically and voice your opinions to your representatives. Final thoughts: mixed benefits and trade-offs. President Trump's Big Beautiful Bill offers clear wins for some workers and seniors through tax savings. It proposes new opportunities for investors in poor and rural areas through revamped opportunity zones. But those benefits come with potential trade-offs, including cuts to Medicaid and SNAP that could hurt vulnerable families and communities. The economic boost promised is debated, and the bill's political future is uncertain. Ultimately, this legislation is about balancing tax relief with social program funding, and how that balance shakes out will shape the financial lives of millions of Americans. What do you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts. What part of this bill concerns you the most? Are you hopeful about the changes or worried about cuts to benefits? Drop a comment below and let's keep the conversation going. And if you found this breakdown helpful, consider subscribing so you don't miss future updates about this bill and other financial news that affects you.